The first step to improving is committing yourself to improving. The second step is learning what you need to improve. What's up, everybody? It's BBK Dragoon here with PvP tips. Over the next few videos in this series, I'm going to be talking about ways that you can improve yourself in the Destiny Crucible. I'll say up front that I don't believe Destiny is the most competitive, extremely well-balanced shooter out there, but it does have a skill curve, and you most certainly can practice and improve as a player. Focus on improving one or a few things at a time. A focus-specific practice is much better than broad grinding. They've done research before that shows students who study just a few minutes each night over the course of 2 weeks perform far better on exams than students who cram the night before. The same is true with your practice schedule. When you practice Destiny, if you can play an hour each day, it's going to be much better than playing 6 hours on Saturday and not touching Crucible again for the rest of the week. If you can spread the practice out, it gives your brain more time to process and improve. A huge part of Destiny Crucible and improving is knowledge, growing your knowledge. I cannot believe that there are still folks who don't know where the heavy ammo and special spawns are and don't set up for them. Learn the times of those ammo drops. For heavy, it's 9 minutes, 5 minutes and 55 seconds, and 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Those drops should be ingrained in your mind. You should always be set up and preparing for those drops. Those win and lose games in large ways. To see players who aren't prepared for them just shows a lack of knowledge. Learn the damage values of the popular weapons in the game, understand their profiles, and that way you can hopefully counter them better. Learn where your opponent's weapon excels and when your weapon excels. I'll give you an example. If I'm shooting a messenger and I start taking shots from a player using the last word and I'm in close to mid-range distance, I know he has the advantage over me and I probably will not win that fight. Now, if I'm at long distance taking a fight with the last word player and I'm using the messenger, I've got the advantage in that situation. There's not a lot of top-tier PvP weapon diversity, so it's not that hard to learn what the common weapons are, how they feel, and the ways that they can affect your gameplay. Find a setup and learn its strengths and weaknesses. This also goes hand in hand with finding a build that you like. I encourage you to play more than one build, but make sure you practice builds thoroughly before moving on. A lot of times I'll see players try a new build or a new weapon, and they'll only use it for, let's say, 2 or 3 games. Maybe they don't win or they don't do crazy well, so they think the build's pretty bad. There's this theory that we have from StarCraft. It takes 100 times playing a certain build before you can really start giving feedback on it. 100 games played on a single build sounds pretty crazy, and I think that number might be a little bit high for Destiny, but the idea remains constant. If you just are continually swapping builds around without practicing them, you won't have enough time with that build under your belt to give it an accurate assessment. Play with players who are better than you. There's no faster way to improve than playing with those or against those who are stronger players. Nobody likes losing to a super dream team of incredibly skilled opponents, but those enemies, the people that just romp stomp lobbies, are the folks who are going to help you improve the fastest. They help you point out your mistakes much more than a mediocre or average player would. So when you play against or with players who are stronger than you, it pushes your level far faster than something you'll get in just lobbies full of mediocre or average players. Destiny does have skill-based matchmaking, except in Trials. Trials is only connection-based. So as you improve, you'll face harder and harder opponents. Sometimes I don't like this, but I do know that playing better players makes you, yourself, a better Destiny Crucible player in the long run. If possible, watch your replays. I know not everybody has a capture card, but I also know next-gen consoles have the ability to record gameplay. Watching your replays is an incredibly efficient way to improve. You can ask any YouTuber who does competitive games. They will tell you they improved dramatically once they started watching back their gameplay. Because when you're in the heat of battle, you cannot look with an objective eye from the third person. You cannot look from the outside in at what's going on. I had a chess teacher that put it this way: when you look into the forest from the height of the forest, you can't see. But when you get above the forest, you can see everything. Well, the forest is when you're in-game, you're in the heat of the action, you can only see through the trees. When you look at a replay, you're above the forest. You can see things from the top-down perspective and get a better idea. How did that guy get the drop on me? Why did I miss that shot? Replays can help you identify problems in your gameplay that you can then put specifically into your practice routine. I'll give you an example. I've been playing Crucible for like the last month, looking at my gameplays from YouTube video perspectives. I've gotten really lazy about trying to shut down the opponent's heavy ammo. That means trying to take their heavy ammo before they can get it. So therefore, I have dedicated like 2 entire days of practice this last week where every single time heavy spawned, I tried to be in the right position before it spawned to give myself a good chance to shut down the opponent's heavy. And while it didn't always work, in fact, there were many failed attempts at it, it was the specific practice that actually put the thought in my head, I need to be prepared before that heavy ammo spawn happens. It got me looking at the game clock more. It got me setting up on the map and making my plays based upon that timer. So replays can very much help you identify those specific things. And when you practice, if you can just look at very specific parts of your play, is it your aim? Is it your nade control? Is it bad super use? And specifically focus on those key aspects during a day of practice, you're going to improve dramatically. It's about focused, specific practice. It's much better than broad grinding. My last tip is play for the win, but don't let a loss negate your practice or progress. We learn more from our losses than we do our victories. I have an old StarCraft saying from one of my favorite players, White Raw. He says, more GG, more skill. And what he meant is the more times you type GG when you lose to your opponent, the more skill you accrue. We learn more from our losses than we do our victories. So no matter how hard it is when you're losing 5-6 games in a row, it happens. I mean, if you play Crucible solo without teammates, it's very hard sometimes. I've had like literally 10 game strings where you go into Clash and you can get a 2-0 KD all you want, but if you're just a solo player, there are limits to what you can do. But don't let losses just completely negate your practice. Try and learn from them. Was there anything you could do differently? Hint, there's always things that you can do differently. There's hundreds of thousands of small decisions being made in every single Crucible match you play. So that's the opening to this tip series. I hope you enjoyed. If there's any practice tips I didn't hit on, let me know down in the comments below. If you found this helpful, please let me know with a like. I hope you have a great 4th of July, American Guardians, and everybody else have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.